All right, everybody, what is going on? Good afternoon. We've got some more Seattle Seahawks stuff to get into here. We have another position battle on the Seattle Seahawks for 2026. Now, this one's a little bit different than the others because the others were rookie versus veteran. This one is veteran versus veteran. Neither of these guys are old, but they've both been in the NFL for at least a couple years. They both played a good amount of football. So it's a little bit of a different question. We're talking about linebacker, we're talking about Drake Thomas, and we're talking about Tyrice Knight. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So let's talk this through a little bit. So obviously right now, if you're looking at this team, if you're basing it off of what happened last season, and you're looking at what happened in the offseason, Drake Thomas is the favorite, right? Drake Thomas probably going to be starting at linebacker across from Ernest Jones. Drake Thomas played a lot of football last year, ended up starting 14 games, and actually played really well. Almost 100 tackles, 3.5 sacks, made plays in coverage, made plays in the backfield. He did a lot for this team, kind of out of nowhere. I don't want to say out of nowhere, but there was a sense that this team was heavily dependent on Tyrice Knight to carry the load. But what happened last year was Tyrice Knight did not have a healthy offseason, and that really kind of put him behind the 8 ball in terms of having a good season in 2025. So he was the starter to begin the season, and I don't necessarily think he played bad in 2025, but there were some real issues with him in coverage. I believe, I don't know, yeah, he ended up allowing a 95% completion and almost 12 yards or 11.5 yards per target in the opportunities he had in 2025. So he was really getting pounded in coverage. And while there was some other good stuff about Tyrice Knight, that was hard for him to work around. And ultimately, he was benched. Ultimately, he got put on the bench for Drake Thomas. And Drake Thomas went in there and had a good all-around season. You go to Pro Football Focus, they graded him fairly well in every category. Really liked his run defense, really liked his pass rush, liked his coverage. He obviously had the pick on the 49ers in the last game of the year to, I don't want to say salt the game away, but do a lot of work to help us put that game away. He did some good work as a blitzer, and it was also a pretty decent postseason. Nothing over the top spectacular in terms of like a big highlight play, but he was good. And then Drake Thomas got extended in the offseason, 2 years, $8 million. So he's the guy, right? I would say to that, the answer is probably yes. And I understand that there are going to be some people that see this video and they think it's already settled, right? Like the science has already been kind of settled here. And that might be the case, and I suspect that it could be, but I did want to take one video to talk about this because I don't think it's completely settled. I don't. I think that there is an opportunity here for Tyrice Knight. Remember, he was the starter for most of 2024 after we made the change at linebacker because Jerome Baker and Tyrell Dodson weren't working out. We traded for Ernest Jones, and then we put Tyrice Knight in there. Tyrice Knight played well last year. He also made some plays as a blitzer. He also played well against the run. And that was as a rookie in the fourth round rookie, mind you, who wasn't expected to start last season. He held his own. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. I mean, you go to, if you like Pro Football Focus, and I don't totally trust Pro Football Focus for linebackers, but they did grade him fairly well in 2024, his rookie season. They didn't love everything, but overall this was I would say a net positive player. And the issues he had in 2025 had to do with the health issues he had in the offseason. And I don't think it was just something like a leg or an elbow or anything like that. I think he actually had something going on like with his heart. I don't know all the details. The details, it felt like the team didn't really want to broadcast them out too loudly, and it felt like they kind of kept that stuff under wraps. Understandably so, but there was some serious stuff going on there, and it seems like he's past it now. And I do wonder if he could get the starting job back, because it's not like Drake Thomas got a big extension. It's 2 years, $8 million. Not impossible. By the way, last year, for as much as Tyrice Knight was not totally himself, Pro Football Focus liked him a lot. They actually gave him. Now, this is mostly because of that one game against the Cardinals where Knight got to play in place of, I think it was an injured Ernest Jones, and had two strip sack that turned into touchdowns on blitzes. That powered a lot of this, but it didn't power all of it. So even if you take that out, Pro Football Focus didn't think he played bad. They just thought his game had some issues in it. Like, they didn't love his coverage stuff, although they didn't completely hate it the way that the raw numbers do. So I do think that there is something to be said here in favor of Tyrice Knight. He might have more talent. He might have a higher ceiling than Thomas when healthy. All things being equal, I think you could make that argument. And the another thing to keep in mind here, Tyrice Knight is a Mike Macdonald draft pick, right? Mike Macdonald, when he got hired, obviously he's not running the drafts, but the draft pick of Tyrice Knight was made when Mike Macdonald was the head coach. Drake Thomas, number one, he wasn't a draft pick at all. He was ultimately a pickup of Pete Carroll when Pete Carroll was here in 2023. Now, he didn't get to play very much until this last year. I understand that. But 2025 was not his first year here. He actually got here under Carroll. So there might be an attachment to Tyrice Knight on the part of Macdonald that he doesn't have with Thomas, because Thomas isn't his guy. And Thomas, I mean, as good as he played last year, and I don't want to put too much stock into something like this, he was an undrafted player. So there is probably a little bit less talent to work with here. And Macdonald liked something he saw with Knight. And we did get to see a good chunk of that when he has played. Maybe not as consistently as we would like, but we have seen it at times. And, I'm even thinking about the NFC Championship game. At the end of that game, Drake Thomas got hurt, Tyrice Knight went in, and everyone remembers the two Devin Witherspoon plays at the goal line, but right before that, Tyrice Knight made a great run tackle in the hole on, I believe it was Kyron Williams, to set up the following sequence of Witherspoon breaking up two passes. And that was coming in off the bench kind of cold after Drake Thomas got hurt. So I remember that kind of stuff, and I do wonder, is there something at play here? And I like Tyrice Knight a lot as a rookie. I thought that he brought a lot of positive things to the table, so I'm not going to count him out. And I do believe that the money is not going to be a big obstacle here, so there is a competition of some kind. Nevertheless, I think it is common sense to assume that it's going to be Drake Thomas, because he did play very well last year. And even when Knight was healthy last year, he didn't get his job back. Drake got to keep it. Now, I think it would have been goofy to even consider benching Drake Thomas after he had played as well as he did. I don't think that was even a consideration, but there are circumstances where that might have happened if Tyrice Knight was really that much of a coach favorite over Thomas. So it kind of feels like Thomas is probably taking that spot, but I don't think it's a complete shutdown yet. I don't think this is a guarantee. I think that Tyrice Knight is still somebody this team values, and I think that when he has played, the little bit that he played last year after we kind of shelved him, mostly because of the injury situation, I do think you saw some cool stuff there that might be better than what Drake Thomas can bring to the table. Maybe. Again, the smart money's on Drake Thomas. I think he will be the day one starter. I think he'll start the whole season as long as he's healthy. And you got Tyrice Knight there as a backup, a very good, capable backup that has proven he can make plays. So nothing wrong with that. But I think it'll be Drake Thomas. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have a different perspective. Maybe Tyrice Knight works his way into it here. Remember, for whatever it's worth, he beat out Drake Thomas for the starting job before the season last year. And he also earned starting reps over Drake Thomas in 2024 when we had to get rid of our Tyrell Dodson and Jerome Baker and sub in new guys. So don't count him out, but Drake Thomas is probably your dude. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a good rest of your day, and let me know what you guys think about this. Again, just feels kind of safe to go with Drake Thomas, and that's going to be the way I go.